Hey folks, it's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So I thought today I'd talk more about the 63 while I have it in my possession. Big thanks to my buddy Leigh for loaning this to me to check out. I thought let's look at some of the specs of it. Let's kind of go through some of the tones. I put out a video yesterday where I compared it with my cheap Squier. I thought the Squier held up quite well, surprisingly. The Squier is definitely brighter. I'd say, if anything, in the comparison, the Squier sounded more stratty to me, whereas this had a warmer tone. Now, since that video came out, I've changed the strings on this. The strings on that guitar was the thing I heard the most in the difference. You'd play the low notes particularly, and there was no sustain because they were just so old and dead. So I put Elixir 11s on here. I didn't want to do that before that video yesterday because it's not my guitar and I respected the owner that it's his guitar, so I wanted to wait to talk to him first before I do anything, you know. So I've changed the strings. These are now 11s. They actually sound even closer now that I've changed the strings, but that comparison's been and done. I don't need to do that today. So it's been interesting. I had a couple of haters come on there. You know, people kind of make up their mind about modelers before they've even kind of, you know, some people, one guy said, oh, sounds good. I hope it's not a modeler. Didn't you just say it sounded good? Use your ears, people. Who cares what that gear is? The comparison was between the two guitars through the same setup. So today I've kind of got a setup which I think is going to annoy even more people. Modeler into an amp. You know, maybe I should do a blind comparison between a modeler and the amp, and let's see. But anyway, I've got my Victoria Bassman 45410, and then I'm running the Fractal FM3 in front of it, mostly for reverb. You can hear that. And then I've got a Zen drive in the chain just for a bit of drive because I haven't got any drive set up on the FM3 for that particular preset. It's effects only. Yeah, so I thought I'd kind of do that today. Why not? Change it up. It will sound different, but that's largely because of the strings, I think. The strings were pretty old. So this guitar, a couple of things. I got my calipers here. Let's look at a couple of features of this guitar and let's figure out some things. So nut width, this is really important to me. So 42.15. So yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty close to 43 actually. No, 42. 42 millimeter nut width. Feels super comfortable. I don't like any smaller than that. That's as small as I would go. I don't have huge hands, but I have enough size hands that this position feels really uncomfortable if it gets any smaller than 42. So that's a win. Let's look at the body depth. 44 millimeters. Interesting. I know Fender kind of aimed for 45, so maybe this one got sanded a little more and it's just a touch thinner. I will put the weight up on the screen. I haven't actually weighed it yet, but I'm going to weigh the guitar and check it out. This one has actually been refretted with, had a re-level done. One of the reasons I like this guitar so much, I don't like vintage radius on guitars, 7 1/4. It just chokes out up here. I just don't like the feel of it for me. Each to their own. I get that other people might. But this one's been flattened and has a 12-inch radius. So the fretboard is actually looking pretty thin now. You probably couldn't get away with taking too much more off that. But it's got big frets on it now, like nice big, I'd say these are jumbo size frets. They're stainless steel, so they shouldn't need to be replaced. They're looking a bit flat. I don't know what the job was done like at the time, whoever did it. But yeah, they're looking a bit flat to me, so they could do with a bit of a crown. What else about it? It has the original tuners on it, which still function okay, seem fine. I really like Fender split tuners. I like that on all guitars, that you're not going to use a trem, mostly because it just doesn't rip into a gig bag, right? I carry guitars like this in a gig bag. The string sticking out will rip into a gig bag. Let's measure the bridge. So string spacing is currently 55 millimeters. Okay, that's interesting. So quite a wide string spacing. Quite like that. Yeah, quite a wide string spacing. I'll measure the DC on the pickups. Alright, let's measure the DC resistance. So I'm on the neck pickup at the moment. So that's reading 5.94. Let's go to the middle pickup. 5.75. 5.46 on the bridge, so all in vintage spec in terms of the pickups. The neck pickup on this guitar has been rewound, so it was done by Lindy Fralin, I believe. That pickup's as is, and that pickup is a 69 Strat pickup. Don't know why that was replaced, but it was. It has a 5-way blade because these would have come with a 3-way. The 3-way sucks. Most people just swap them out unless you're a collector and you want it all original. But being able to get those in between positions is so great, and on a 3-way you just can't very easily. So most people swap those out. Volume, tone, tone. Assume that's all original. Assume that's original. Yeah, the Strat buttons have been changed. I'm going to go through some of the tones. So I'm just going to do these clean into the basement with, it's just the mic in the room, and I've got reverb on the Fractal. So if we have a look, there's still quite a bit of the neck finish on this guitar. I don't know if it's been oversprayed or not, but it does feel like it's a little bit sticky, so I suspect it might have been. One of the things I like about this guitar so much, if you have a look at the neck pocket, it's absolutely flawless, the join in there. There's no gap here or this side. It's like it's a perfectly fitted neck. A little bit of wear on the body. The saddles are on weird angles. I couldn't get them to turn. I couldn't find an Allen key that fit that perfectly. So I'm just going to leave it alone. It's not my guitar, so it's not one I'd touch anyway. It's a beauty though, isn't it? There's just something about these guitars that they, if you play it acoustically, it just has a resonance about it that you just don't hear in a lot of modern guitars. That's one of the things. And that could be a bunch of things. It could be the type of wood it's made of. I think more than anything, it's probably the age of the wood. This is 60 years old now, so everything's dried nicely and kind of found its equilibrium together and kind of done its thing. So, it's a player grade guitar, but it's a special player grade guitar. This is probably the best Strat I've ever played. And I've played a bunch of them, including a bunch of vintage guitars. I think for me it's because of this 12-inch radius. It plays like a Gibson in terms of the flatter radius, which I prefer, but with that Strat thing, and it's got a warmth about it that I just dig. So yeah, there's a look at the 63 Stratocaster, owned by my friend Leigh. I've told him if he ever sells it, give me first bid. Not that I can afford it, but there you go. Not a quarter sawn neck, it's just a regular neck. Otherwise, because you would see the grains that way if it was. And also it would have that little bit of flicking that you have down the middle. So it's not a quarter sawn neck. It's had a replaced spring here too. That's the middle one. The other outsides are all original. Yeah, so that's it. That's the 63 Strat. I hope you've enjoyed hearing it. I will play you out with some more. I'll play you out with some more tones. There you have it, folks, the 63 Strat. I hope you dig it. So cool. I want one. Someone buy me one for Christmas.